I stared at the key in my palm. It was heavy, cold, metallic. Intricately carved symbols adorned its surface. They seemed ancient, unknown. Where did it come from? What did it unlock? I had no answers, only a growing sense of foreboding.
He had found it earlier that day, tucked beneath his pillow. No note, no explanation, just the key and a bone-chilling certainty that something big was about to happen. His intuition screamed at him. This was no ordinary key. This was the beginning of an adventure.
Then my phone buzzed. A shiver ran down my spine. The message was simple, yet ominous. Tonight, your real test begins. Bring the key. No sender ID, just like the other messages. Messages that had been popping up out of the blue for the past week.
Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He had a feeling he already knew the answer. The message on his phone had been clear. Parking garage, level 3, midnight. It was a cryptic summons that left no room for interpretation. It was a location shrouded in darkness, a place of shadows and echoes. The kind of place where secrets are kept and whispers linger.
I gripped the key tighter, my knuckles turning white. The metal felt cold and heavy in my hand, a tangible reminder of the unknown that awaited me. I slipped out of my house, the cool night air hitting me like a slap. The chill seemed to seep into my bones, heightening my sense of urgency. The streets were deserted, the silence broken only by the distant hum of traffic. It felt as if the city itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Every shadow seemed to writhe, every rustle of leaves sent my pulse racing. The night was alive with unseen movements, each one a potential threat.
He reached the parking garage, a concrete behemoth looming in the darkness. Its structure was imposing, a silent guardian of the secrets within. The air inside was thick with the smell of exhaust fumes and something else, something metallic and sharp. This was it. The atmosphere was suffocating, filled with an unspoken tension.
Taking a deep breath, I climbed the stairs to level 3. Each step felt like a journey into the unknown, my heart pounding louder with every ascent. Each step echoed in the silence, amplifying my fear. The sound reverberated off the walls, a constant reminder of my solitude. In the middle of the empty floor, bathed in the pale glow of a single flickering light, was a car. It stood there, like a sentinel, waiting for my arrival, its presence both ominous and inviting.
The car was sleek, a black panther poised under the pale moonlight filtering through the grimy windows of the parking garage. It was a vintage model, but it gleamed under the dim light as if brand new. Its lines were smooth, almost predatory, hinting at a power that lay dormant beneath its hood.
I felt a strange pull towards it, a magnetic force that drew me closer. I could make out my reflection in the tinted windows, a ghostly image staring back at me.
He circled the car slowly, taking in every detail. The tires were wide and low profile, gripping the ground like claws. The engine, though silent, seemed to purr with restrained power.
As I completed my circuit, my hand brushed against the cool metal of the door handle. Instinctively, I reached into my pocket and pulled out the key. I knew what I had to do.
Section 5, gearing up.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it,
Did I have a choice?
is to reach the designated locations before our rivals. Use the car's features wisely.
A holographic map flickered to life on the windshield, highlighting several points across the city. Alex recognized some landmarks, but others were shrouded in mystery. Each point pulsed with a red light, indicating the presence of his competitors. He gripped the gear shift, a strange tingling sensation running up his arm. As he instinctively pushed it forward, the car responded instantly. He navigated the winding ramps of the parking garage, his heart pounding in his chest. The city lights beckoned, a tapestry of neon and shadow. Section 6, Midnight Grand Prix. As Alex hit the open road, the city became a blur of light and motion. Streets stretched before him, deserted at this late hour. The Midnight Grand Prix had begun. He weaved through empty intersections, the car handling like a dream. He pushed the engine harder, the growl transforming into a satisfying roar as he flew past sleeping buildings. The speedometer needle climbed steadily, pushing the limits of his courage. The first location on his map was a clock tower, its silhouette stark against the night sky. He glanced at the digital display on the dashboard. 2 other cars were also en route, their positions displayed as red blips closing in on the target. He had to be faster, smarter. This was more than just a race. The city became a playground, its streets transformed into a high-speed maze.
Grunts, come on, we can do this. Alex pushed the car to its limits, the engine screaming in protest as he took corners at impossible angles. He could feel the presence of his pursuers, their headlights like predatory eyes in his rearview mirror. Panting. They're right on me.
He swerved to avoid a sudden obstacle, the tires screeching in protest. The car's AI system kicked in, adjusting his trajectory and keeping him from losing control.
Obstacle detected, rerouting. The holographic map flickered, showing him a shortcut through a narrow alleyway. He didn't hesitate. He whipped the steering wheel, the car responding with precision as it shot down the dark passage. He emerged back onto the main street, the clock tower now looming large in front of him.
Alex slammed his foot down on the accelerator, pushing the car to its absolute limit. The engine roared in response, a primal scream of power. He could feel the wind screaming past him as he raced towards the clock tower, its shadow engulfing him.
Strain. Gotta keep going.
He glanced at the dashboard. The two other cars were right behind him, their drivers relentless in their pursuit. He had to do something unexpected, something daring. As he neared the base of the tower, he spotted a narrow side street, almost hidden in shadow. Without hesitation, he yanked the steering wheel, the car responding instantly. He heard the screech of tires behind him as his pursuers overshot the turn, their headlights disappearing around the corner.
Relieved. That bought me some time. He had to reach the next location, and fast.
Following the instructions from the car's AI, Alex navigated through a maze of back alleys and side streets. The city seemed to close in around him, the buildings looming like silent sentinels in the night. He managed to stay one step ahead of his pursuers, his heart pounding with every close call. The shadows seemed to move with him, every corner a potential threat. He was starting to feel the pressure, the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. Each moment felt like an eternity, the tension almost unbearable. Finally, the car came to a stop in front of an old abandoned warehouse. The building stood like a ghost from the past, its presence both ominous and intriguing. The building looked derelict, its windows boarded up and covered in graffiti. It was a place forgotten by time, yet it held secrets that were about to be uncovered.
We've arrived. The vault is located inside. Be cautious. This place has its own dangers.
Alex stepped out of the car, his senses on high alert. The air was thick with the smell of dampness and decay, a stark reminder of the building's long abandonment. He pulled out the key, the metal warm to the touch. It was as if the key itself held a memory of what lay beyond the door. He followed the AI's directions, navigating through the labyrinthine corridors of the warehouse. Each step echoed in the silence, amplifying his sense of isolation. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, each step bringing him closer to the unknown. The anticipation was almost palpable, a mix of fear and excitement. Finally, he reached a heavy steel door hidden at the back of the building. It was imposing, a barrier between him and whatever secrets lay inside.
Whispering, this has to be it. The moment of truth was upon him, and there was no turning back now.
Alex held his breath as he inserted the key into the lock. The cold metal felt heavy in his hand, and the silence around him was almost deafening. It turned with a heavy thud, the sound echoing through the empty warehouse. The noise seemed to reverberate off the walls, amplifying the tension in the air. The steel door creaked open, revealing a small, dusty room. The air was thick with the scent of neglect, and dust particles danced in the dim light. A single metal box sat on a table in the center, bathed in a beam of light from a flickering bulb overhead. The box seemed almost out of place, pristine amidst the decay. He approached cautiously, his hand hovering over the box. Each step he took echoed in the silence, heightening his sense of anticipation. His fingers trembled slightly as he lifted the lid. The creak of the hinges sounded like a whisper in the stillness. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was a black envelope sealed with a wax emblem. The velvet was a deep crimson, contrasting starkly with the black envelope. The emblem depicted a dragon, its wings outstretched in a fearsome roar. The detail was exquisite, each scale and claw meticulously crafted.
Curious, what's this? His voice echoed softly, filled with a mix of curiosity and apprehension.
He broke the seal and pulled out a single sheet of paper. The paper felt old and fragile, as if it had been waiting for this moment for a long time. The message was short and to the point. Congratulations. You have proven yourself worthy. The words were written in an elegant script, each letter carefully formed. Now, the real challenge begins. Go to the Dragon's Gate. The instructions were clear, yet filled with mystery. There, you will find your destiny. The promise of destiny hung in the air, heavy with potential and uncertainty.
Confused. The Dragon's Gate! What is that? His mind raced with questions, each one more pressing than the last.
Alex stared at the words, his mind racing. The weight of the task ahead began to settle on his shoulders. The first part of his test was over, but the real adventure was just beginning. The city around him seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his next move. He had a sinking feeling that he was about to find out. The unknown loomed before him, both thrilling and terrifying.